This video is about how to have the best sex you can ever have in your life all the time. Hi, I'm Tim. This is Selfless Awakening, where I like to talk about higher consciousness, the evolution of humanity, mindfulness, stepping out of fear, finding life's purpose, all that kind of stuff. There's so much out there that we can use and practice and study and experiment with, and I feel this almost obligation to share. It's not an obligation because I get the joy of sharing this stuff, and this is kind of one of my, I don't know what you call it, one of my charities, things that I feel I get to give back and just say this crazy stuff out there, put it out there. It's not really crazy. It's crazy. Everything else is crazy. It's crazy not to talk about this stuff, I think. If you like what I'm talking about, subscribe, click the little notification to stay up to date on my latest stuff. Hello, if you're connecting on Instagram, and great to see you all on YouTube. So, all right, here we go. How to have the best sex ever, all right? Here's the idea. This awakening journey is so powerful. It gives you keys to a whole new part, a whole new dimension of human experience where you can have deeper pleasure, you have more energy, you have more ecstasy in your life. Like, it's an incredible journey, and in our culture, certainly in America more so than other places, talking about sex, just kind of talking about it naturally is a little, but I haven't spoken about it really that much on this channel at all, and I want to share about it. I want to talk about it. I have an incredible sex life, intimacy, love life with my spiritual partner, Jessie, who writes at Rebel Hippie Soul. She's an amazing writer, and we have the blessing, the gift of being able to have a spiritual relationship. So, we meditate together, we look at our fears together, we talk through things. She helps me see things, I help her see things, and we quicken our awakening together. And we also do that same thing in our love life. And we're not expert. I'm not an expert on sex, and this isn't about how to get sex. This is about how to have the best sex when you have a partner that you are on that you feel you're on a spiritual journey with. If you are looking for a partner, then I do recommend you check out Rebel Hippie Soul. Check out my partner's website, her blog, and also she's writing a book on it. It's amazing, this book. It's almost done. Anyway, so I want to talk about how we do it. And there's a part of me that was, I'll tattletale a little bit on Tim's egoic fear about talking about this here. There's a part of me that's like, well, I have a business. I'm not a full-time, I don't support myself by talking about mindfulness, spirituality, all this stuff online. I actually have a normal side business, I'm a voice teacher, I'm an entrepreneur, I have a business where that's what I do. So, and also I have a 15-year-old daughter, so there's a little insecurity about me, being a dad with a teenage daughter, putting a video straight up out there about sex and about my sex life. But my daughter just got hired. She's working for a magazine called sexetcetera.org, which, it's not like this is not like a normal topic for her either, but she's a good writer, and she got hired writing. It's a sex education online, really reputable, incredible. Check it out, sexetcetera.org. If you have teenagers in your life, or even middle schoolers that want to learn actually about sex education because they're not taught it really in school, check out this website. It's amazing. And my daughter is one of the writers for it, which is cool. However, that doesn't mean that I consider myself an expert in this at all. So I'm just sharing my insights, all right? But I have no insecurity about sharing it anymore. So I want to talk about it. And here's the thing. There are a couple things you can do to help you next level your sex life. Number one, release the blocks you have. If you have any resentments to your partner, if you're holding on to any, well, she said this the other day and it kind of pissed me off, or when I look at her I'm a little annoyed, or he said this and I just feel like I don't want to touch him anymore. If you have any of these blocks inside of you, these egoic, these disturbances in the force with your partner that you haven't looked at, you're not going to be able to take that pleasure, go next level with your sex and your intimacy. You're not. You have to have a process to release the blocks from love inside of you. Because if you have a resentment or something that's kind of bugging you about your partner, you can't go deep in your connection with them. You can't do that in your lovemaking. So that's number one. And I'm not going to go into all the process to do that, but my girlfriend, my spiritual partner, and I, we look at that a lot. Like, as soon as we feel any disturbance between us, we'll call it out. Like, hey, I was sensing that you were being a little withdrawn with me. Like, what's going on? Are you upset? Did I say something that bothered you, or are you perceiving something? You got to have a process to look at that stuff, or everything else I'm telling you isn't going to really work. Okay, so that's number one. Let's say that you've done that. Let's say that you feel very connected with your partner. You feel very peaceful and loving with them. You don't feel there's anything between you. How do you take your intimacy experience, your sex experience, and have those fireworks and have those, like, how do you go next level with it and have it really become a transcendent experience? Here's how you do it. Before I talk about it, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you cannot do it in the way I'm talking about our relationship, one's relationship with food. And I think everyone can relate to this, because I used to do this before. I don't do this as much anymore because my awareness has popped me out of this pattern, but I used to. And the pattern is, how many times have you had some food, you're on your lunch break and you're looking at your phone and you're just mindlessly eating while you're looking at your phone like this? You're not tasting the food, but you're just looking at your phone. It's very easy to do that when you're eating, right? It's also easy to do that when you're having sex. When you're having sex, it's so easy to get caught up in the thought stream of, you start to get intimate, and then you think, oh, I'm feeling a little chubby today. I wonder, oh, don't touch me there. No, I feel a little insecure about that. Or I wonder if I smell, or I wonder if my breath is bad. And then your mind is half on the whatever your mind has thrown up. You're half thinking about what you're doing, and you're half thinking about whatever you're insecure about. Or I know for me in the past it was performance. Like earlier on, like when I was in college and out on my conquesting adventures, which is a whole different world, it feels like to me. It was so much about me trying to prove that I'm good at having sex. So it was like this performance as opposed to a real deepening of experience with another person and a union. Instead of it being that, it was just an act that really didn't have any depth to it, And, now having these experiences where I'm having really deep transcendent experiences with my partner all the time, like every time, it's like, again, it feels too much not to share it. So inside of this, like, it's so easy, like I was when I was in college, to get caught in my head, you get caught in your head when you're doing it. And so the spiritual practice is taking your highest self, which is consciousness. That's who you are. You're the awareness. Consciousness is awareness. You're the presence of sensations, of experiences, of the thoughts in your head, of your external environment. You are the constant witness. And when you're having sex, if you take and you treat it just like a meditation, if both people treat it just like a meditation, what happens is, your mind, maybe you'll start and you're just getting things going. There's the foreplay part of the experience. And you'll feel maybe your mind is a little bit on what you were just talking about before. Or maybe like there's a joke, or the TV, something you saw on the TV popped in your head. And then you go back, and then, the trick is, what you do is you don't judge your mind for kicking in as you begin an intimate session with your partner. You just redirect back to the sensation. So it's like you're kissing, and the mind wanders. Oh, man, I wonder. Oh, don't forget to call. Blah 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 blah. Back to the kiss. Oh, but I don't want to forget to back to the kiss. And you just bring your attention back, and then, then as you think about this, our whole bodies, every part of our body can experience pleasure in contact with it. Every single part. you know? So it's like, think about it. We are these pleasure machines. Every part of your body can feel good when you're present to a loving touch of that. So then as you do this, you treat it just like the meditating you do in the morning. It's like you kiss, the mind wanders, you bring it back to the sensation, and you do it 100 times in an intimacy session. And what happens is, if you go into that session with that in mind, in the beginning, you may feel that the mind is pulling a lot, but the more that you bring your awareness back to the sensation inside of the experience, the more that you intensify your awareness of yourself as the awareness, and the less the voice in the head is going, and the more you feel the pleasure. It's like there's a whole bunch of pleasure that you can experience that you're not even experiencing because you're in the voice in the head. And it's like the same thing I talked about. One of the most popular videos I did on YouTube up to this point is a video where I talk about combining Wim Hof with Eckhart Tolle. In Wim Hof's breathing meditation with Eckhart Tolle's inner body awareness meditation. And it's like when you combine that, it's like, and it's the same concept. It's like, do the breathing and your mind wanders, bring it back to the sensation of becoming oxygenated, and you get high, like crazy high. It's that same concept, dragging it and dropping it into a sexual experience. It's exactly what you do. Is your mind wanders, you bring it back to the pleasure. And the cool thing about it, as I said, this whole body, it's like we have your skin is like insanely pleasurable when you use it as that. And when you're in an intimate connection, either your partner's on top of you, you're on top of your partner, or you're touching each other, you can move your awareness you could be kissing them and inside of the act of having sex, and you can move your awareness from your lips, the sensation of your lips, down to the way your chest feels touching their chest, down to the way your stomach feels touching their stomach, and then into the pleasure zone area. It's like, whoa, when you're out of your stream of thought and you're able to tap into that, like you're just able to hyper feel it, time disappears. It's like all of a sudden your intimacy you're like, wow, that was like an hour we were doing that. What? It was like time will just disappear for both of you. And something else really cool that I've noticed in this experience is that the more that happens with me, the more that I detach from the voice in the head and deepen into the pleasure, I have this feeling like imagine a thermometer of sexual energy, that can go up and go down. And at this line, if you cross this line, it's orgasm. At least for the men. Men are so different in the way that it's a different experience than it is for women. And for men, this is kind of, I guess this is for you guys too, and good for girls to know, but this has just been my experience. There's a line where once I cross that line, or I get too close to that line, I'm going to have an orgasm. I'm going to go over the line. And so what I've noticed with this, as I deepen into this awakening sex, I guess we'll call it, that I have an incredible control of that thermometer inside of me. I can intensify the sexual experience, I can deepen it, I can raise it, I can get close to that line, and then slow it down. And then get closer and get closer and get closer and slow it down. And a lot of it just has to do with how you redirect your energy and where you put your focus. And knowing in your intimate experience when you put your consciousness somewhere, when you put your consciousness somewhere, which are the places you put it that you feel that thermometer rising, and where are the places you put it that you feel it cooling down. And it becomes a dance of energy, of turning up the intensity and turning it down. Okay? And that becomes this spiritual thing. Like, it's like you're out of thoughts. You're not analyzing anymore. You're not in your that voice in the head. You're completely identified with consciousness experiencing the pleasure of intimacy. And what I found is that the more that I'm plugged into that, the more Jessie is. It's like we have it's like every time I deepen my pleasure, I can sense that she responds to that. It's like we're in true union, true synchronicity, inside of our connection. And it's such an amazing experience. And it takes you being willing to step out of whatever analysis you're having and surrender to the pleasure of the experience by becoming present to it. The mind wanders. Your mind may wander in a lovemaking session. It may wander 30 times. You bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Eventually, you'll catch into that rhythm and you'll be detached and you'll be as present as you would if you were doing 30 minutes of deep breath meditation. It's just another gateway to transcendent experiences and also to deepening your connection with your partner. You know, so much of sex, you know, it's all messed up now with the way that, you know, the way that pornography is online. It's like, it makes sex this taboo thing, this naughty thing. Like if you ever see online, like so many videos are about like, you know, if you were to go on YouPorn or one of these websites, it's all like watch this stepsister having sex with her stepbrother. It's all this like, it's making it this kind of like gross, like it's trying to make it perverse and dark and seedy, as opposed to really teaching intimacy and lovemaking in a way that actually gets you the most pleasure out of it. Having sex in a way that, like the equivalent of eating and looking on your phone. Most people are doing that. Most people are caught up in some bullshit in their heads about how they're doing or whatever their blocks are, that you're not actually in union with your partner. And I just feel so blessed that I get to have that experience and that it deepens. And that's what spiritual relationships, that's one of the greatest gifts of spiritual relationships, is the deepening of intimacy, you know, it's one thing to have that pleasure for yourself just in masturbating and stuff like that, but it's such a small portion of the pleasure that you can get from surrendering yourself to union with someone else. And all you have to do is get out of your head and put your awareness on your pleasure zones, and your mind wanders, bring it back. Mind wanders, bring it back, and then you're going to get better at sex because you're going to be plugged into the rhythm of it, and you're going to enjoy it a lot more. So there, I did it. That wasn't too hard. Talked about sex. Let me know. Leave some comments about your love life, about your intimacy, about these things. Do you have these experiences yourself with your partner? Do you have a partner? Again, like I said, if you don't have a partner and you're opening up to a partner, my girlfriend, my spiritual partner, Jessie, I recommend talking to her. She does a lot of coaching, and she's amazing at helping people remove their blocks to love and find their way to a spiritual relationship where you can do this kind of stuff. So anyway, there you go. Sex advice from a sex expert. And once again, this is the website for sexetc.org, which is an incredible website to share with your teenagers or your younger ones about intimacy. And it's real, it's beautiful. So, all right, there you go. If you like what I'm talking about, subscribe, click the little notification. Sending you all love. Go have some great sex today. Have a great day.